So I promised I would make a little series of videos to share my backstory with you. I have so many clients who ask me when I work with them in their QHHT sessions, how did I get to do this? How come I'm doing QHHT or past life regression? How did I find it? Why did I find it? And they kind of always want to know about my story, and it's not appropriate really for me to be talking about myself in my sessions. So I thought that I would share with you a little bit more about me. And also I understand that we connect with others who have been through similar stuff to what we have, because we know that we can share that part of us with somebody who's going to understand. So I'm going to share with you over a series of videos everything that I can, really, my whole backstory. In my QHHT sessions, I ask my clients to go from their earliest childhood memories and to go through pivotal moments with me. So that's basically what I'm going to do in these videos. I'm going to share some pivotal moments in my life with you so that you understand a little bit more about me, and then obviously if my story resonates, then perhaps at some point in the future we can work together. So my current married name is 𝔹𝔸ℂ𝕂. I'm 50 years old, and I started my life in Surrey, and I have a mum and a dad and a brother who is 3 years younger than me. I had a pretty average childhood, I think. Nothing crazy particularly happened. I was always very shy as a child. I always struggled to be seen and to be heard. And I didn't particularly enjoy being in groups of other people. So school was a little bit overwhelming for me. But I was okay. I was an average student. I wasn't overly academic. I enjoyed more creative subjects. I enjoyed art and crafts and writing. And when I was 13, my parents moved me from my school in Surrey to 𝕊𝕋𝕂 in Sussex. And I suppose at 13 years old, being moved was a big deal. And I really changed at that point in my life. I went from being this quiet little thing that didn't like to be seen and didn't like to be heard to reinventing myself to fit in. And that's basically what I did. I created a new version of 𝔹𝔸ℂ𝕂, and I chose to fit in with more rebellious kids. I found alcohol. I immersed myself in the kind of kids that I always wanted to, when I was younger, to be with the kids that were seen and heard, but that I didn't have capacity to do until I reinvented myself. So between the age of 13 and when I left school, I pretty much disconnected from my parents and became a bit naughty. When I left school, I went to art college. I always had a dream to be an interior designer. I loved fabrics, I still do, colours, environments, styling, and that was a dream of mine. So I went to art college, I did a foundation course, but when I was 18, my parents needed me to start working. And so I actually left home at 18, and I didn't have any skills at all. So I was a waitress and I was a cleaner until when I was 21, I found, or basically winged myself into a job within a recruitment company in 𝕊𝕋𝕂. Worked as an administrator, and I stayed within that environment for 5 years. Until I'd moved up into taking care of a team of administrators. And that was my initial introduction into corporate. I stayed working within corporate recruitment environments then for an additional 12 years. It wasn't my dream job, but I again recreated a version of myself which suited that particular environment. I wore a mask. I decided that I wanted to fit in, and so that's what I chose to do. But I wasn't very happy at all, and in order to cope with that feeling of unhappiness, I found recreational drugs. I spent my weekends clubbing, and I found an outlet which offered me the opportunity to escape. So then for the next 6 years of my life, I spent my time working very hard in recruitment. I worked in various different agencies during those 12 years, IT recruitment, technical recruitment, high street recruitment and legal recruitment. I had a relationship which wasn't good for me. I was with somebody who didn't make me very happy, but this person was my opportunity to be going out and to be clubbing and to be immersing myself in an escape that I found was useful to me at the time. But working in an environment which wasn't good for me, one where I was having to compromise the true version of myself, being in a relationship which wasn't good for me, I eventually became very sick, and the universe took control of my path and it offered me physical illness. It offered me ME, or chronic fatigue syndrome, which was really a chance for me to look at my life in a different way. So I had to give up my job. I was by this time in a relationship with my current ex-husband, and I had to leave working. I had to stop working. I had to spend 3 years resting and coming to terms with the fact that immersing myself in a career and in a lifestyle which wasn't right for me had created an imbalance in my physical being. And having ME and chronic fatigue syndrome gave me an opportunity to stop. I had to stop. I couldn't keep doing what I was doing. I had to look at my life in a different way, and I had to come to terms with the idea that the path that I had been on was actually very wrong for me. And that opportunity was my, what we would now call, I suppose, an awakening. Having ME and being diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome meant that I had to look at life in a different way. Conventional medicine wasn't available to me. My GP had chosen to share with me that there was nothing she could do to help, and that I had to find my own way of getting better. So the following 3 years for me were exactly that. They were time for me to go within. And I'm going to share in my next video exactly what I discovered during those 3 years of a different life, having to leave behind external validation. I'd been working on a career path which wasn't right for me, and I had to come to terms with the fact that my life needed to change in order for me to get better, for me to get physically and holistically better. So in my next video, I'm gonna share with you what I learned during those 3 years and how those 3 years put me on the path eventually to finding quantum healing hypnosis, and to have an open mind to how alternatives are available, and how, you know, often we have to look in different directions to find support that is going to help us to move forwards in our lives. So If this video has resonated with you, then please do watch my next video, and yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing the rest of my story with you. Sending lots of love.